In July 2020, HCL began its journey in Vietnam. It was also the same period when the dreadful pandemic pushed the whole world behind closed doors. But technology came to the rescue and the world remained connected. Thus, in order to ensure regular dialogue, free flow of knowledge, thoughts and ideas, HCL Vietnam Tech Talk series was envisaged. In this HCL Tech Talk series, HCL experts share ideas on technology, future of workplace, connected living, and connected enterprise. The series went live on December 2020, and since then, sessions on various high-tech technologies such as machine learning, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, digital manufacturing, cybersecurity, etc. have been conducted. HCL Vietnam is committed to shape the technology of the next decade today. HCL Tech Talks will keep bringing many such valuable tech talks to your home screen. Stay tuned.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to send my greetings and thanks for your presence in today's virtual sections, Future of Programming, organized by HCL Technologies. So attend our session today, we have Mr. Jitendra, Associate General Manager of HCL Technologies, to share the update on programming trends, like languages, microservice, AIO, low-code or no-code platform, and other programming trends like IoT, blockchain, big data, quantum computing. So during the session, if you have any question, please comment below. We will answer at the Q&A sections. So now, to begin, I would like to invite Mr. Jitendra to give us the vision of programming. Please.
Thanks, On. So if you type that future of programming languages into Google, and you'll be surprised to see that it generates approximately 217 million search returns. It is one of the most searched topics. There are countless blogs debating the pros and cons of popular programming. Which ones will dominate IT over the next decade? There are around 700 programming languages, as Wikipedia lists them, and yet we arguably don't have nearly enough programming languages. Developers have been using sorry have been using programming languages sorry, forgive me for that. Developers have been using programming languages for decades to build new tools and streamline the coding process, and so far it has worked very well. Advancements in programming languages and software development have helped us to do better and write optimized code. Business have got more efficient, humans have gotten more productive. So where do programming languages go from here? Are we in store for the emergence of one comprehensive mega language? Or could programming language disappear altogether? So welcome to the session of Future of Programming. I'm Jitendra Sharma from Digital Business Full Stack Capability Team from HCL. I have around 22 years of overall IT experience with more than 14 years in development. So today we are going to talk about certain programming trends like top programming languages, future programming languages, emerging trends about programming, plugin oriented programming. Then we'll talk about some microservice trends. We'll also see the AI and machine learning contribution in software engineering. Apart from that, we also look into certain other domains which are not yet tapped or they need a more exploration. And then we will also touch upon some low code and no code platform. So let's move on then. So here, if you will see, There are two indexes being shown. One is TIOB index, another is PYPL index. This TIOB index actually works on three things. One, it considers a language if it has its own Wikipedia page. Second, it will consider a language if its Turing is complete. Turing complete means this language provide a solution to a computer problem. And third is if somebody search this particular language into Google, it should return at least 5,000 search results. And based on these three parameters, it actually rank them. If you will see here, Python is at the top. Last year in April 21, it was at number 3. So every month they do this calculation and provide a ranking to each of the language. C was at the number 1 in April 21, but this month in this year it is at number 2. Similarly, Java was at number 2, but now it is at number 3. Another in the index that we are showing over here is PYPL index. It is called popularity of programming languages. It is created by analyzing how often language tutorial is searched on Google, and based upon that it actually create a ranking for the languages. Here if you will see Python, Java and JavaScript, they are coming at the top. If we look at the graphical representation of this, top programming languages of April 2022 had been Python and Java. These are based upon PYPL and TIOB index only. On the right side, if you will look at it, it shows most in-demand programming languages of 2022. That is actually based on LinkedIn job posting. So here also, if you will see, the Python and Java are coming at the top only, right? So we'll talk about some of the programming languages on a brief. I will not cover Java, C and C++. Everybody is already aware about. We are using these languages since long, right? So here, the first language that is immensely popular among developers and data science experts because of its simplicity and versatility is Python. It is a fast, easy to use, and easy to deploy programming language that is widely used to develop scalable web applications. It has excellent library support for a wide range of coding requirements. For example, Python libraries like Django and Flask are ideal for web development, whereas TensorFlow, Keras, and SciPy, these are best for data science applications. If you see YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, SurveyMonkeys, all are built using Python. Even Facebook is using Python only. It comes with certain disadvantages as well because it is not a compiled language. It's an interpreted language. It is scripted. So execution is a little slow. It consumes high memory. Reason being, it provides flexible data types. That means when you declare your data types, you can assign any value to it. And dynamically, it will convert that data type or variable to that particular data type. The next language is Go, and we call it Golang as well. It is an open source that is compiled and statistically typed programming language, and it was designed by the Google. It provides excellent support for multi-threading and it is often used by companies that rely heavily on distributed system because in distributed system it will be requiring parallel processing. It is easy to learn, syntax is easy to read, and functions are simple. It is not as popular as Java or Python, but it is gaining the popularity. Downside is it is not a framework. It provides very little support for libraries and developer community because it is an open source. The developer community that is actually contributing to it is not very robust. But in future, maybe we will see more development in Golang. The next popular language is JavaScript. JavaScript is basically a front-end programming language that is widely used to design interactive front-end applications. Today, many organizations use JavaScript-based runtime environment called Node.js for backend development. So JavaScript is being used as a front-end as well as backend development. JavaScript has several libraries for developing even machine learning models such as TensorFlow.js, Brain.js, Mind, and Synaptic, Neuro.js. So there are many ML models as well that has been developed using the JavaScript. 97.6% of all websites use the JavaScript. Pros, if we talk about, it's wide acceptance, cross-platform, easy to learn and implement. Cons we talk about can be interpreted differently by different browsers because it is dependent on browser. The next popular language is R. R language is one of the most commonly used language for data analysis and machine learning. Like Python, R comes with an impressive range of libraries like ggplot, tidyr, leaflet, etc. It is also used for general statistical programming. Those who wish to join the analytical team of a large organization should think about learning R. The pros, if we talk about open source, great support for managing data. Cons are it is slower than Python and it takes high memory consumption as Python takes. Moving on to the next slide. So what are the emerging trends about programming? How programming looks like in the future? In future, programming is going to be more abstract. Trends like serverless technology, containers suggest that many developers may work at higher level of abstraction in the future rather than bothering about the lower level of coding. You remember we started with low level programming languages like COBOL, Pascal, C, where we write a small program and it required to write many lines of code. High level language like Python, C Sharp comes with pre-built libraries that is helping in writing less code, right? Soon AI will become part of every developer's toolkit. AI is artificial intelligence is already beginning to infuse itself into developer tools today. For example, Microsoft added an AI platform for its Windows 10 update so that every developer building apps on the Windows OS will be able to use pre-trained machine learning models. Rice University researchers created an application called BayOU that use deep learning to act as a search engine for coding, allowing developers to enter a few keywords and see code in Java that will help with their task. That means you simply type some keyword and it will generate code for you. And in future, we'll see more examples where development tools will try to predict developers' intent. And based on that intent, it will be able to generate the code. We expect that in future, a universal programming language will arise. To reap the benefits of emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, programming has to be easy to learn and easy to build upon. Python will be remembered as being the great grandmother of languages of the future, which under the hood may look like the English language, but it is far easier to learn. The dominant programming language of the future will be universal. That means it will support all the developers regardless of their spoken language. They'll be able to do the coding in their own native or mother tongue. Programmers will be built using coding blocks, like the wooden alphabet blocks we used when we were children, right? Developers will be able to connect the blocks to implement whatever functionality they need. And blocks may not even be required to return a textual form. It will be more like if we talk about like a calendar icon, right? So if you look at the calendar icon, you can always understand that if you will use this particular calendar control, you will be able to select and set the dates. So that way the blocks will be created. that will be more intuitive, and you will be able to use all those blocks just by dragging and dropping them and creating an application. Even these blocks can enable tactile sensory devices to be included so that even individuals with vision impairments would be able to develop programs. So that is really going to be a good era. Then data is definitely going to be very much important for all of the developers. Developers of the future will need to learn more skills, particularly in data analysis. Everything from statistical data analysis to nonlinear and linear data analysis to machine learning and even artificial intelligence. It is really not just learning how to code, it is also learning how to analyze and sell different models. So, data is going to play an important role in the future. Education system, definitely it is going to be the important part of education system. You already see that nowadays programming languages are taught to school students in lower classes even. There is this white hat junior is already there that is actually making even the children learn the coding. Every professional career of the future will require proficiency in providing data analysis for large data sets, machine learning, and using simulation to reduce the cost of testing and manufacturing. So, those interested in becoming a developer, start an object oriented programming language like Python to give yourself a foundation to build upon. And the developers who are entering or working in the field right now, it is important to understand the architecture behind the tools and frameworks you are using to prepare yourself to the future. So these are the some emerging trends that we will see in the future about the programming languages. Apart from that, there is another programming trend that we are seeing now is plugin oriented programming. We call it POP in abbreviation. Okay, it's a new programming paradigm that presents a new way of looking at the programming. It merged the concept from OOPS, functional coding, data flow, configuration management concepts. Actually, in plugin-oriented programming, everything is a plugin that can be integrated together to build complex system. I'm not sure if you are aware about a Moodle platform. It is actually an open source LMS platform that is based on plugin architecture only. It contains a core application, and after that, everything that is added to this is a plugin only. And you can simply add that plugin to create or customize this application. If you will see here the architecture of this plugin, it shows the main system here is the customer interface through which you can add plugin to it. And through that, you will be able to create a complete application itself. Another trend that we see is microservice architecture. When the development was started, it was being created as a monolith application. And that was actually a single piece of indivisible software that was easy to set up, simple to monitor because it was just one application. And debugging was easier because when you go to debug, everything was available within one application or process itself. The challenge was monolithic architecture was the scaling. If you need to scale, you need to replicate the complete application on another server. So that required more resources. Maybe you just need to scale up some part of it, not the complete one. This is where microservice came handy. So microservice is an architectural pattern. It is the process of implementing service-oriented architecture that divides large application in a collection of small, independent, and interconnected services, where each service serves only one business need. They have their own independent database, right? But as we get some optimization, as we get some facilities in microservices, it comes with some challenges as well. Every advantage have some cost also, right? So challenges are like it becomes more complex because now one application has been divided into multiple applications. Monitoring will become complex because now you will be tracking multiple services rather than one application. Same goes for debugging. When you have to debug all the services separately. You cannot debug all code in one go, right? Data management definitely will become difficult because each service is having its own database. You have to ensure that database is transferred between the services because they'll be communicating with each other to perform an operation. Cost will be more because now you have to host multiple applications rather than one applications. There are chances of duplication of data across microservices because whatever independent microservice we create is still there will be some data and configuration that will be duplicated across microservices. Now let's have a look at some of the microservice variations or the trends. So one is mini service. As monolith applications are challenging to scale because of size, and microservices are a lot more complex to orchestrate and maintain. There was a need for a framework that addressed these challenges. Mini services provided a valuable middle ground between monolith and microservices, a design that assumes a more realistic approach to implementing the microservices concept. The mini services architecture is an architectural framework that is a collection of domain bounded service. Earlier, it was a feature bounded service in mini services. Sorry, in microservices. But in mini services, it is domain bounded. That means it is combining multiple microservices that are related to each other, in terms of domain. They can share responsibilities, they can share the data stores. Unlike microservices, with a complete decoupling of services, their implementation details, many services can share libraries and database. Definitely, it will also have its own limitation, like end-to-end testing will be a challenge in many service framework because there are a lot of dependencies between the services that are bundled into the mini service. If you will see in this graph, the arrow above and the arrow down, right? When you move from monolith to microservices, you see more loose coupling and greater agility. But if you will move from microservice towards monolith or mini service or microservice, you see the complexities getting lower and it is easier to run. So depending upon your business requirement, you can choose the architecture what you want to follow. The next trend is Kubernetes, as you were talking about abstract programming. So applications or services will be running as part of a container. So to manage those containers, Kubernetes came to the picture. It is an open source platform for managing clusters of containerized application and services. Sorry. It is often described as operating system of the cloud. Through Kubernetes, you will be able to manage all your containers across multiple hosts. It can control and automate application deployments and upgrades automatically. If one node is down, one node is that is containing one service. If one node is down, it will detect that down node and will create another node to replace that so that downtime is not there. It can scale containerized applications and their resource on the fly. If there is more load on a particular service, it can actually create multiple replicas of the same service so that load can be shared. Another trend that we'll see over here is service mesh. When we are talking about the containerized service managed by Kubernetes, where each service is running under a container. These services need to talk to each other to complete a task. So this communication among these services will happen, but how much secure and reliable it is? This is where service mesh comes handy. It is a solution for managing secure and reliable communication between the microservices. It is not at software layer but at infrastructure level, where a sidecar is attached to each of the pod. This green color we call them pod. A sidecar is attached to this pod that is called a proxy. And all this communication happens this proxy only. And this proxy ensures all the security. So the developers who are working on actual application that is part of pod need not to worry about the security. They can focus on the business logic and security will be taken care by the these proxies or the sidecar. Examples of service mesh are Istio, Consul, AWS App Mesh, Kuma, Open Service Map. Right. Next trend that we see in microservices, serverless architecture. So serverless architecture is nothing but where you need not to be aware about where your application will be hosted, out how it will be hosted. You only need to focus on your program. You create a program and then you simply deploy it on the cloud. And now cloud is responsible for maintaining that hosting environment. It provides you platform as a service where you simply deploy your program and you forget about how the hosting environment is maintained. And you only need to pay whenever you are actually using that service. Whenever somebody is trying to access that particular application, only for that time you are going to pay. So that is the another benefit. It's faster time to market, cost is less, scalability is more. It can scale it automatically. You need not to do anything specific for that. The productivity will becomes higher because you need not to focus now on hosting environment and to set up it. You can only focus on the application itself or the service itself. But it will have certain challenges as well. As you are deploying it on an environment that is not under your control, but under the control of cloud provider or service provider. So you will have less control over it. Security, though all the cloud platform implement the security, but still it cannot be as good as a standalone security, or rather I would say you have to rely on the security applied by the cloud provider. You cannot have your own control. There could be some performance drawback when you will be starting it up. It's like when you will be accessing the function first time. So how it will happen? Cloud will first create a server for this, and then this particular function will be deployed on that server and then it will be run. So it will take some time, but if it is already in use continuously, then it will be quick to access. But first time when it is starting, it may take some time. Another issue could be vendor lock-in. Like if we talk about for serverless architecture, they are provided by AWS, Azure, as well as Google Cloud. AWS provide Lambda and Azure provide Azure functions. AWS Lambda, actually, if you create your function in Azure Lambda, it makes it difficult to port it to another cloud provider like Azure. So that actually creates a problem of vendor getting locked in with one cloud provider. Then another trend that we see is reactive microservices. The core of reactive microservices is finding ways to create more isolation between microservices. See, we are talking about microservice has to be independent, right? The more they are independent, the more they are better because you will be able to maintain them independently. So reactive microservices actually helps in creating that isolation more. So these microservices are isolated in state, space, time, and failure. When I say isolation of state, that means reactive microservice can be accessed through its API only. No backdoor access is allowed. That means you can evolve or develop microservice internally without affecting outside. Affecting outside means the user who are accessing it. Isolation of space, they can be independently deployed and they should not care about the location of other microservices. Isolation is time. Microservices would not be blocking. They would be non-blocking and asynchronous. They follow actually eventual consistency, not the real-time consistency. That is something, it may not be consistent at any point of time, but at the end it will be consistent. Isolation of failures, that means if one microservice fails, it will not impact other microservices. Another trend that we have to talk about is artificial intelligence operations. That is actually quite important and it is gaining popularity nowadays. So in AI operations, it is actually uses machine learning and AI to develop tools meant to automate the work done by the IT operations teams. This can apply to solving complex problems by automating the process of your program. It identifies security breach, its correction by utilizing data and patterns. It is becoming increasingly essential. Now, another most important trend in programming for the next decade will be using machine learning and artificial intelligence to automate much of the coding. AI and machine based learning can automate coding and help programmers write faster and better code. When programmers use an intelligent IDs like Visual Studio to develop programs, it can save companies a lot of time and money because it shows intelligence. You press a dot and you can see all the methods and properties available for a particular object. Last year, Facebook research team said that they had developed a new type of technology to convert code from one programming language into another. The technology is called as transcompiler. It converts code from one programming language like Delphi or Pascal into C Sharp or Java. When converting code, it is easy to miss business rule. For example, for a bank, if it stipulates that a bank account can only be opened after certain ID and other compliance checks, and if this business rule is missed, it can mess up the whole code. Secondary conversion can also be expensive. As Facebook researchers noted in the research paper that CBA is actually Commonwealth Bank of Australia, they spent approximately $750 million and 5 years converting its platform from COBOL to Java. That was huge. So if we get IDs that are integrated with transcompiler and that can convert code quickly, it can save lots of effort, time, and money. And there will be less chances of missing a business rules. Definitely, the saving of time and money will depend on the application and complexity of its code. But organizations could certainly save weeks or months of time and millions of pounds for large IT projects by using AI-based programming and code conversions. Now, how this AI and ML can help in project or software engineering? AI can help in planning. It can assign tasks and maximize team performance. It can create a model that will consider human personality traits, competencies, learnability, and individual interactions to create or compose performing teams. Even in problem analysis, it can provide data about project success and risk based on the past data. In design also, we can use intellectual skills that can substitute human activity in the process and can help in producing a better design. At implementation stage, AI can generate prototypes for codes from human language itself, which then are refined and adjusted by human programmers. When I say human language, that means you will be able to give the instructions, voice instructions to it. And based on that, it will be able to create programs. Testing and integration will become easier. There, you will be able to save a lot of manpower by automating your test cases based on AI. Software maintenance will become easier. It can support a lot of user queries by maintaining the past data. It can search through the database and provide the response to the user without involving any support person. Here you will see the AI market revenue starting from 2016, where we started from $1,378 million. And we expect it by 2025 to go to $59,748 million. That is going to be huge. The coming time is going to be very huge for AI market. Now, how AI enabled platforms are helping in software development? One of the biggest trend that you will see in AI software development are AI enabled coding apps like Tara, Kite, and DeepTab 9. They are actually bringing autocomplete feature into the software development process where you type few words and it will complete for you. You need not to write the complete code. One solution, Mendix Assist, it offers AI-driven mentoring capability. It is designed to help new developers learn how to build application in real time. Ultimately, these tools are going to democratize development and allow developers to dedicate more time to problem solving, designing and developing other creative solutions and maximizing the value rather than focusing on other trivial things. Testing is going to see more changes. The role of AI in software testing is becoming more and more critical to the quality assurance process. Traditionally, quality assurance testing is a time consuming manual task with a high margin of error because there is a finite amount of workforce. We have limited time and resources, and there are chances that bugs can slip through the cracks, and it will only come to light after the product has been released to the production. So one of the biggest benefit of artificial intelligence will be that it will enable fast, accurate testing that will improve the process of testing to such a degree that bugs are fixed before even a product is released. It will go through that automation process that will perform all the testing before releasing it to the production. And that way, it will be actually shortening the development process and providing a quality end product. You will agree that software development estimates are always a challenging task, as it is difficult to predict what obstacles you might encounter along the way and how much those unknown roadblocks can eat into the budget and push back your deadlines. Artificial intelligence can utilize all of its existing data from past projects and a variety of other factors that you want to include to help you determine a far more accurate estimate for your software development. This will make it easier for your organization to decide what project they should pursue and what projects they should drop before they start on this. Another area that will benefit from that is error automation. Traditionally, when an error was found in software, a developer would need go and look into the problem and investigate it and fix it. This process was perfectly fine, but it was time consuming and error prone. If understanding go wrong, then fix would be wrong. And sometimes it may take time even to identify the bug. So the benefit that we'll get through artificial intelligence is it will be able to automatically detect, diagnose and repair software errors without a developer ever having touched it. Even it will be able to identify the errors in advance. It will help in keeping our costs down and greatly improve our efficiency. So let's have a look at some of the platforms. So these are all AI-enabled software development tools. We have Google ML Toolkit. We have Infosys Nia, IBM Watson, TensorFlow that is also developed by Google, Accord.NET that is developed by Microsoft, H2O, MXNet, Deep Learning, Cortana. Cortana you already see as part of your Windows operating system. I'll touch upon few of the popular AI-enabled software development tools. So one of them is Google ML Toolkit. It is actually most common AI-enabled software development tool available in the market. ML Toolkit brings Google's machine learning expertise to mobile developers in a powerful and easy to use package. It provides a large number of APIs. Video and image analysis API enables image labeling, barcode scanning, and facial detection. Another is TensorFlow. Again, it is an open source end-to-end platform for machine learning. It has comprehensive and flexible ecosystem of tools, libraries, and community resources. It can help researchers to push the state of the art in machine learning and developers quickly build and deploy ML-powered applications. Next is IBM Watson. It is the best AI-driven software development tool for business demanding faster and better result. Watson comes pre-integrated and pre-trained on flexible information architecture, optimized to accelerate production and deployment of AI. Now, what is going to be the role of developer in AI? There are apprehensions that developer can result into lesser jobs. Sorry, developer, there are apprehensions that AI can result into lesser jobs and unemployment. But with AI role, this is what I believe actually. This AI role of software developer is going to evolve further. And within the next decade, it will look a lot different than it does today. Do not, the technology is not likely to replace developers. We are several years away from reaching the point where AI will write code on its own without requiring any developer. What I believe rather, it will not replace software programmers, but artificial intelligence will become a tool that software programmers will use to gain new knowledge, streamline their processes, and ultimately writing better code. What is more likely is that software developers will perform a different set of tasks and develop skills that allow them to collaborate effectively with AI on the job. AI tends to take on repetitive, simple tasks that can be automated, thus enabling developers to spend more time on complex problem solving tasks. This combination will enhance and improve the process of software development rather than replace it. It is worth mentioning that AI will likely to be used to identify gaps in existing technologies and alert organization when new software is required. This will create a new need for even more developers in the future, suggesting that AI and software development will likely grow together. Apart from this, we will look into some other trends or some other domains that have not been tapped to their full potential, like immersive technologies. So immersive technologies has three type of technologies into it. One is augmented reality, virtual reality, and then we talk it's mixed reality. These technologies share many of the same qualities. Okay. If we talk about augmented reality, it actually blends computer generated information onto the user's real environment. You might have seen Snapchat or you might have seen IKEA, where you can put or see furnitures in your own drawing room through your mobile phone. VR is nothing but that uses computer generated information to provide a full sense of immersion, where you get an immersive experience like VR headsets that you simply mount on your head, and then you get immersed into that virtual environment itself, right? And mixed reality, it is a blend of physical and real world, where you bring virtual world into the real world. You might have seen a game that had been famous like Pokemon Go. So these immersive technologies are going to be explored more in the futures. The next, if we talk about, is Internet of Things. Everybody is already using some of the things that are IoT. It is just, though it has just started to come into the common parlance. It aims to create a network of connected devices, from key rings to home appliances, that collect and analyze data so they behave in a smarter manner. Examples could be there are doors that can recognize you and unlock after recognizing you, fridges that order your favorite food before you run out. They can encourage you to eat healthier. Gardens can water themselves. Devices that won't let you forget them, like Apple AirTags, Alexa, and the technologies that you should learn to work on IoTs like Python or JavaScript. If you will see, there are already 7 billion connected IoT devices today, and there is expectation that this number will go to 22 billion by 2025. So that is going to produce more jobs in the future. Blockchain. Blockchain is another popular technology. You might have heard about uh, cryptocurrencies like bitcoins, right? Actually, in blockchain, each block in the chain contains a number of transactions. Every time a new transaction occurs on the blockchain, a record of the transaction is added to every participant's ledger. This means if one block in one chain was changed, it would be immediately apparent that it had been tampered with. And if hackers wanted to corrupt a blockchain system, they would have to have change every block in the chain across all of the distributed versions of the chain. That will make it difficult to hack it. So why there is so much hype in this around this blockchain technology? There have been many attempts to create digital money in the past, but they have always failed until unless they started working with the blockchain. The issue was the trust. Suppose if somebody creates a new currency called X dollar, how can we trust that they won't give themselves a million X dollar and steal your X dollars for themselves? So Bitcoin was designed to solve this problem by using a specific type of database called a blockchain. Most normal databases like SQL database have someone in charge who can change the entries. But in case of blockchain, everybody is in control of the database. If you want to do the development on blockchain, you need to learn Python or C++ or JavaScript. The market of blockchain, if you see, in 2021, it was $4.67 billion. And expectation is it will grow from $7.18 billion in 2022 to 163.83 billion by 2029. So it is going to produce more jobs. The next trend that we are going to see is big data. It is not just Python and JavaScript, right? Another skill shortage lies with the Hadoop. So there will be more jobs around the data, and you will agree with me that data is going to play more important role in the future. If we look about the market size of big data. In 2021, it was 162.6 billion, and it is going to be 273.4 billion in 2026. Another thing that needs exploration, Google and IBM, these are two prominent companies who are already working on these, is quantum computing. While fascinating, the development in the quantum computing world are unlikely to result in many roles for quantum algorithm developers in the near term. Near term means in the next few years. But after some years, it might be producing more jobs. That being said, both Google and IBM believe they will hit the quantum supremacy milestone this year itself. So there is no surety, but they have said that. This is where a quantum computer process an algorithm that a traditional computer could not within a human lifetime. So it is all about time. It is also a computer only, but it contains more processor to process the program. It can do more parallel processing. So a normal computer can also do that processing. The only thing is it will take more time. While this quantum computer will be able to do it in little time only, right? If you will see, Google in 2019 proved that a quantum computer can solve a problem in minutes, while it would take a classical computer 10,000 years. Google is already spending billions of dollars on its plan to build its quantum computer by 2029. That is the deadline they have set. And they've already opened a campus in California called Google AI. Okay, apart from that, we will see few more trends like low code platform. What is this low code platform or no code platform? It is basically a software development method to build application without the need of deep coupling or without the need of deep coding. This allows you to customize an application as per your unique needs in the form of something similar to like designing a flowchart using a visual interface where you can simply drag and drop and create your application. Low code and no code platform typically employ visual programming interfaces to solve business problems faster and more completely. That could be accomplished with traditional software development. And in the process, the productivity of professional developers will be enhanced. They'll be free to worry about more strategic concerns that may be impacting their enterprises. Since the onset of the COVID-19 crisis, the number of executives naming low and no code development platforms as their most important automation investment has nearly tripled from 10% to 26%. Gartner's statistics reported a 23% growth in worldwide low code development. KPMG finds 100% of enterprises who have implemented a low and no code development platform have seen ROI through these initiatives. How these platforms are going to help us? If you will see, Gartner has predicted that by 2024, at least 65% of all new business applications will be created with high productivity tool set, such as low code and no code. Another research done by Brand Essence, which says global low code development platform market is likely to raise USD 65.15 billion by 2027 itself. So how they are going to help us? They will help us in faster time to market and delivering our application quickly. Intuitive visual builders, ready to use code snippets, form and report templates, and built-in connectors help you roll out new application fast. It will help in reducing the cost because it will have ready to use code snippets. It will have just that block. You can drop that block and it will put the code over there. So you will be able to develop your application quickly, thus saving on the money. It will also help in improving the customer experience. It will give you the flexibility to adapt Market changes and customer needs quickly through fast delivery of up-to-date apps and effortless update of existing apps and helping in enriching the customer experience. Uncompromising security. That is another important aspect of low code and no code. Low code system include important security features like admin tools, access control, threat assessment, and this comes as inbuilt. You can simply configure it and use it, and you only need to monitor it. Industry best practices ensure that user data and applications are safe from the breaches. Because this low code and no code platform will be updated by some third party who will be producing these platforms. So they will be ensuring all the latest technologies into them. It will also help in eliminating shadow IT. As the business demand for new custom solutions continues to grow exponentially, it will overload IT departments. Extensive IT backlog created by this will force business users to adapt third-party apps outside their certified infrastructure. This will cause security risk because you are sharing your sensitive data with third party. So low code solutions will empower business users and developers to design their own apps without going to third party and thus eliminating the need to employ risky apps and share sensitive data. It will ensure the fluid business and IT collaboration. Businesses need to automate their operations in a manner that is both timely and cost effective. In order to deliver needed apps fast using existing IT resources, organizations need to eliminate the IT delivery gap. Without of the box capabilities and intuitive user interface, any organization can will be able to do the quick development and create apps of any complexity of any platform. Definitely it will boost the digital transformation. More and more people will come to the digital platform. So already there are hell lot of tools available in the market that are for low code or no code platform. The list is quite long. These are more than 100 tools here. I have listed few of the popular platforms over here like Visual Lancer, Retool, Quixi, Creatio, Gensex, Appian, Mendix, and all. We will talk about few of them like Visual Lancer. Okay, Visual Lancer is a low-code development platform that enables companies to digitally transform their business and increase IT efficiency while reducing the risk and technical debt. It will reduce application development complexity. It will improve data integrity. It will ensure that product is delivered right the first time. It can be integrated with anything. Future proofing for applications and developers. It will identify all the problems in the advance. Visual Lancer has actually three-tiered pricing structure: entry level, mid layer, and enterprise level. Visual Lancer will allow professional developers to create application much quicker than traditional coding. Another good platform is Creatio. Creatio is a software as a service low-code solution. This is for process management and customer relationship management. It can be used to automate business tasks, implement rules, and develop third-party integrations. This framework has been built in .NET and scripts are built in C# and JavaScript. It provides handy graphics and dashboards. Your routine operations will get accelerated with this use of tool. Even Creatio has been named as a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for sales force automation and B2B marketing automation platform. It will cost around $25 per user per month. Another is Zoho Creator. It is a cross-platform app builder that will help in building native mobile applications faster. It will create apps on the web, publish them, and use them on your iOS and Android devices with multiple platform access. There are 7 million users worldwide and 6 million apps. This platform is really powerful and flexible to adapt your business needs. Zoho Creator has been featured in Gartner Magic Quadrant for Enterprise Low Code Application Platform for 2020. The next is OutSystem. OutSystem, it is easier for developers to deliver the application, editing those applications with OutSystems. Even for small applications, it takes just, not even more than 5 minutes to create an application. It's more like drag and drop, like a flowchart. You can see this is in the picture. So all these low code platforms, though they looks fascinating, right? But they comes with some limitations. So whenever we are using them, we should be very conscious when we are planning to implement them, right? Like if we talk about a tool called Mendix, it is an excellent option for the automation of simple process of prototyping. However, once the prototyping stage is passed, the business logic become more complex eventually. To develop a project any further, you will need an expert team. So today's low code platform not perform yet, but maybe in the future they will be. So as on today, it is not uh, will be good to rely on these platforms fully. Rather, they should be used consciously so that you are not jeopardizing your business. They provide limited functionality for now. If you need to do anything different, then it is not there, or it may take some time when this functionality will be available. No technical background myth. They have said it doesn't require any technical background and anybody can create an application. But it is not the case. You will still need a reasonable technical background to use low code tools. You first need to understand the basics of low code development requirements and technologies that will take time to learn and adapt to. Another limitation is security. Though low code platforms comes with inbuilt security protocols, but they cannot be as good as standalone development technologies. If an application is based on low code, you have neither full control over data security or access to source code. Hence, you cannot define all the possible vulnerabilities out there. So now that we know the major pros and cons of low code technology, we can understand that it is not meant to replace traditional development or professional software providers. Instead, it is essential for companies to utilize low code practices to strengthen a traditional approach and fill its gaps. And when combined, low code and traditional techniques can ensure faster and more productive application development. With this in mind, low code significantly enhances speed to market and improves the overall business efficiency when it will be used in tandem with traditional methods. So by this, I stop here. Thanks for your patience, for listening out, and I'm open for any question. Okay, I see a question over here, how to handle security between services. Do we need to verify authentication, authorization, a request sent from a service to another service or to API gateway, and if needed, how to verify it? Okay, so as you're talking about the security of your services, yes, API gateway is the one through which outside world will be accessing your services. So for outside world, security will be implemented into API gateway. For the service to service communication, that can be achieved through service mesh, where a sidecar is attached to your service and all the communication goes to that proxy. And all the security is implemented at the infrastructure level in proxy itself. You need not to implement any security in microservices. I hope it answers your question. The next question I see is in the next 5 years, what language do a business analyst need to learn? When you talk about business analyst, they are more in gathering the requirement and doing the quality assurance. So they might not be using a particular language, rather they would be using the tools to make requirement gathering faster or analyze the requirement or do the testing. So for that, they can think about learning AI and ML, how they can leverage them to automate the process. Or what they can do is they can learn on low code and no code platforms. I think these are the questions that I can see over there. Are there any other question on?
Thank you, Jitendra. So currently we don't have any more questions, but however we already run out of time. So for if you have another question, so you can write in the chat box. So we will answer through email or we can directly contact with you uh, in Facebook. So before closing, so please complete the feedback form sharing in the comment. So your feedback is very important for us to improve the quality of the next webinars. So hopefully that today event will bring you useful knowledge. And if you have interest with HCL opportunities, so you can visit our website hclvietnam.com to find our available positions. So thank you one more time and thank you Jitendra to bringing
Thank
us
you on and
great
thank you so much
useful
all
knowledge
for all
here.
the patience. I hope it will help you to understand it better. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.